Chris here, and welcome to my channel. And as you can see by my setup, it's time to play Phase 10 chooses my TBR. So we're this close to July, and I'm a little late in filming this. This is actually the 27th. Usually I like to have it done before then, but it is time to dive into my game for the month. I am going to be doing 4 things in the month of July. The first is my own readathon, Phase Out Your TBR. We're working on Phase 5. I will link the announcement video in the cards above. This is a month-long readathon that uses a variation of my own TBR game to help you phase out one of your TBRs. I will link my TBR in the cards above because I have a separate video for my TBR for that. The next is the final book support group, which I believe takes place the 22nd through the 28th. This is hosted by Steph from Steph Loves. I love taking part in this readathon. There will be a TBR coming out later this month for what I'm going to be reading during that week, though I do already have some ideas, so when you watch that video, don't be surprised if they ended up on this TBR. I'm going to still be doing Buzz Wordathon. I'm reading A Spoonful of Time because our prompt for Buzz Wordathon is, I believe, measurements, and I believe the way we're using them, time is allowed, although it's been a while since I watched the Buzz Wordathon video, so, but I believe that's how we're using it. So time is my measurement. And then the last thing I need to mention is that Nicole from Noteworthy Fiction is doing a read-along on July 27th on her channel for The Phantom Tollbooth. This is one of my favorite books for when I was a kid, and I'm very excited to be doing a reread of this. It's been a few years, I think, since I've reread it. I absolutely love this book. This book follows Milo, who is kind of just going through life and is feeling very bored and uninspired. And he comes home one day to find a toll booth. And he takes his little toy car, drives to the toll booth, and ends up getting transported to a different land where he goes on quite the adventure. I absolutely love this book. So I'm very excited that Nicole decided to do a read along, and I'm super excited to check out her channel on the 27th to read along with everybody. So that out of the way, I can talk to you about my nonfiction, and I'm going to be reading What Was the Donner Party? This is a Who HQ book, which is a middle grade nonfiction, and I literally don't know the answer to that. So I'm very, very excited to read this one. Hopefully I learned something. I feel like I will, since this is a question I can't answer. So we'll see how this one goes, and it'll be curious to see from the little things I've heard how a middle grade book handles this particular topic. And then, of course, it is time for this. I'm scared of this, I'm not going to lie, because I have several months that I'm still working on trying to get to. And there's just so many papers in here. At some point, I really need to go through this again and pull out the ones I'm caught up on or I finished and re-roll some of these little papers so that I can, you know, get more in the jar. But let's see. Oh, we're going to go yellow. Oh, every time. Red. We'll take this white one close to the top. Okay. Let's see. Ooh. The White Fox. Let me see if I can get the second book. So my library does not have access to the second book. I don't even know if it's been translated yet, because I believe the first book was translated. So I'm going to have to do some more research into that to see where I can get it, like if I have to buy it or whatever. So we're going to draw a different one, and we'll go with, again, towards the top, so I don't have too many papers to pick up this blue one. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Okay, so normally I would do this, but I'm on book 4, and I have no idea when book 5 is going to come out. And I feel like I wanted to wait for book 5 before I read book 4. And that's why I didn't read book 4 when I had it. Let me see if Goodreads has anything for book 5. So Goodreads says January. But like no actual date. So now I'm going to check like Barnes & Noble. And it's saying it doesn't come out until February 25th. So I think I'm going to make the executive decision, especially considering it's been updated and stuff, that I'm going to hold off on this until closer to book 5. Because I don't want to read book 4 and then have to read all 4 books again for book 5. especially considering I don't know if that's going to hold because we don't even have a cover yet. So let's try again. Okay, this one I can definitely do. The Witches of Palmetto Point. So the 7th book in this series is Captive Souls. This follows Charlie, who has the ability to see ghosts and helps to solve some mysteries using her ability to see ghosts. And I've really enjoyed what I've read, although they're a bit spooky, so I cannot read them during the nighttime hours, so I have to read them during the day, which does create an issue. They're all on Kindle Unlimited, so that's another hurdle, which is why I don't go to this series on my own, because it's not a genre that usually grabs me. Like, I'm enjoying them, but it's not one I'm like, oh, I need to pick up a paranormal mystery that is spooky and definitely scares me. Well, not scares me, but spooks me. And ebooks. So perfect to come out of the jar. I'm glad I continue to draw. The second series is The Vanquishers. Let me see what book 2 is. So the second book in the series is Secret of the Reaping. And in the first book, we follow Boog, whose friend goes missing. And they live in a world where the Vanquishers was a group of people who got rid of vampires. And Boog starts to wonder if maybe, just maybe, vampires aren't actually vanquished and they had something to do with her friend's disappearance. I remember really enjoying the first one. I'm definitely excited to see what goes on in the second one. So this is a perfect little pick. It was a book I read during spooky season last season. So I don't know that it really lends itself to July, but I'm excited to continue on either way. And the third one is, Savvy. So the second book in the series is Scumble. And I know we're following different characters than the first one because I've talked to somebody actually recently who has continued on with this series. But in the first one, we follow Mibs, whose family has these special powers that develop when they hit their 13th birthday. And right before Mibs' 13th birthday, her papa gets into an accident and has to stay in the hospital. And Mibs is convinced that her savvy will have something to do with being able to help her papa. So she has to figure out a way to get to her papa, and we see her go on that adventure while also trying to figure out exactly what her savvy is and hiding it from people who don't know that her family has these powers. So I know it's somehow connected to Mibs and her family, because again, I had a follower, Cece, who was in some of my sprint chats reading along and telling me what they thought of their read of the rest of the series. So we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely down to read this and continue the series, and we'll see if I enjoy it. So The Vanquishers doesn't go back in because, as far as I know, I will double check, but this is the most recent book in that series. I'm going to keep out the Bone season and the White Fox until I can look into the White Fox, and the Bone season I'll put back in closer to release date of the next book. And Savvy and The Witches of Palmetto Point can absolutely go back in my bin and be ready to be drawn out again next month. So I'll get the lid back on because I believe I've gotten all the papers off the floor, and we can put this away until August. So now it's time to play this. Again, it's the 27th, and still left on my TBR is watching 4 hours of streaming. You would think this would be an easier thing for me to do, but I tend to forget that it was required. So I do plan to do that. I'm going to watch an hour for each day of the rest of the month, so that should be easy enough to do. And then I still have left Scanner for newest release. Well, Scanner in the Chaos Trials for newest release. I think that was what it was for. I have Irina's War for 5-star prediction, but I started that and I'm about 20% into it. I have The Long Way to a Small Angry Plant, which I'm going to be reading on sprints today, which is my book club pick for June, so there's zero way I don't finish that. And then I believe the only other one I have is BIPOC Rep, and I was going to read The Lost Prophet for this, but I'm deciding to use my reward that I got a few months ago of Mood Read and swap it out for I Wish You All the Best. Because this character, Nathan, is involved in the story, and he obviously fits the BIPOC Rep, so I'm swapping this out so that I can have read this to cover BIPOC Rep. I have finished this, so I don't need to worry about reading that in the next 4 days. So I think that I get to complete my TBR, which means I get a reward. So let's see which of these lovely spots is going to be my reward. Green 10. I'm going to do a green 10. And I have still yet to write down you guys' suggestions because I still have not gotten construction papers. So we're going to go with this one. I'm going to pull this down and replace it with my reward. I'll slide the 10 back into the deck. Not that I need a green 10 for my phase, but I certainly would like the ability to pull it for my reward. And then we'll take whatever prompt was the green 10, and we'll slide it back in here. We'll just try to mix these up a little bit. They're very, very hard to shuffle. And I don't really want to play 52 pickup with them, so here we go. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the game. Draw number 1 is a red 3. I don't need a red 3. I'm working on 2 sets of 4, and I'm obviously going 4 7s and 12s. The prompt for red 3. Nature on the cover or in the title. For this, I'm going to read Green Glass House. As you can see, it is covered with trees. This is a reread for me. I want to continue on with the series, but I don't remember enough about the first couple of books to feel confident with that, because when I read book 3, I realized it took place before book 1, and I felt like there were Easter eggs that I was missing because I didn't remember enough of the details. So in this book, we're following Milo, whose parents run an inn, and it is getting ready to kind of go into the slow season. It's Christmas time, and usually they don't have guests over Christmas, but then a bunch of people start showing up, and Milo soon feels like something is going on with these people all showing up and decides to look into it. I remember really, really enjoying this, so I'm very, very excited for my reread and hope I love it as much the second time around. We'll replace that with this. Draw number 2 is a red 11, and I get a reward. Perfect. Oh. Oh. Okay. Well, this is different. I got Stop TBR, and this was suggested by Aaron Briggs 1, and what this means with this reward is that I'm done. Well, the idea of that is that at whatever point I pull that prompt, I stop playing. Never in a million years did I think that this game would be this nice to me. I'm baffled. I'm going to replace that because I will need that next month. So going in to July, I legitimately only need to read Green Glass House to finish my TBR. If ever there was a month where I needed this, it was this one. Like, y'all, I'm absolutely baffled right now. I'm speechless. I have so many books that I had to roll over from June because I don't know if you've watched my vlogs, but I had a heat wave that prevented me reading. I had a cat, Cielo, that had to go to the vet all of a sudden and have teeth removed, which meant I was chasing around for medicine, being worried about her, being stressed out about her. I had to replace my back porch and do that, which meant money was really, really tight, which made me very, very stressed. And it was just such an awful, stressful month. And never in my wildest dreams did I think that this game was going to go, you know, take July off. I know this probably isn't as entertaining for you because I know y'all love it when I pull wilds and have to add a ton of my books to my TBR. But yeah, insanity. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. So I don't want to spoil my phase out your TBR because let me tell you, that did not just go boom, 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 all easy. So that will be the chaos you're looking for if you're looking for some of that. Well, I guess I'll mention a few of the books that I will hopefully be getting to in the month of July that are not part of my phase out TBR. I'm hoping to finish the first Law World. I'm not going to pick them up because they're under a giant stack of books and I don't feel like moving them. I have 2 books left and the audiobook for book 2 in the second trilogy in that series. I believe I have to read it in the first couple days of July, so that should be interesting. I completely forgot to mention that I'm doing the Bookstara Readalong for A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, so I will be reading this in the month of July. Again, information for all the readathons or read-alongs or everything will be in the description below. I'm going to be reading a Twisted Tale anthology, which is a bunch of short stories that include a bunch of different twists from a bunch of different stories. I'm very excited to read What If History Wasn't Quite Right About the Legend of Robin Hood, as Robin Hood is my favorite Disney movie. But there are also some that, like, it says, what if Naveen had to get home to Maldonia? And I don't know who Naveen is. So that could be interesting, because I don't even know off the top of my head what story it is. It says, what if Remy had met Colette first? No idea what that is in reference to. I like the idea of what if Mustafa gave up his throne. So it looks like it's going to be a nice little collection of short stories with little twists. I have Butterfly in the Wind, which is a picture book that is going to follow a girl who creates a butterfly with American Sign Language and sends it on a journey around the world, which, look at the art, just absolutely gorgeous. So I'm very excited to check this one out. In January, I read The Lost Ticket and really enjoyed that. I think it was January, February. So when I saw that the author had another book out, I decided to grab it. So I'm going to be reading The Last Chance Library, an adult contemporary, I think. It says, June Joan emerges from her shell to fight for her beloved local library. And through the efforts and support of an eclectic group of library patrons, she discovers life-changing friendships along the way. This sounds like it's going to be a really fun read. And then I think the last book I'll mention, not that I don't have a ton more, but the last one I'll mention in this video is The Deep Dark by Molly Knox Ostertag. And look at this chunker of a graphic novel. I don't think I've ever had a graphic novel that was this chunky. It says, Magdalena Herrera is about to graduate from high school, but she already feels like an adult with serious responsibilities. Caring for her ailing grandmother, working a part-time job, clandestine makeout sessions with a girl who has a boyfriend. And then there's her secret, which pulls her into the basement each night, drains her of energy, and leaves her bleeding. A secret that could hurt and even kill her if it ever got out, like it did once before. So Mags keeps her head down, isolated in her small desert community. That is, until her childhood friend Nessa comes back to town, bringing vivid memories of the past, an intoxicating glimpse of the future, and a secret of her own. Mags won't get attached, of course. She's always been strong enough to survive without anyone's help. But when the darkness starts to close in on them both, Mags will have to drag her secret into the daylight and choose between risking everything or having nothing left to lose. I've read a ton of books by Molly Knox Ostertag and absolutely love them. So when I saw that they had another one out, I had to check it out. So we'll see how this one goes. So that's just some of my TBR. Again, check out my Phase Out Your TBR if you would like to see more of what I'm going to be reading, hopefully in the month of July, and if you want some chaos that the game did not provide this month. But I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Nice, short, sweet video. I'm sure you all are going to be curious when you see the timestamp on this of how long it is, of what happened to make it so short. But I can't say I'm not happy with this. This is going to give me the opportunity to really maybe catch up and have a less stressful August with less rollovers, which is very much needed. So thank you again to Aaron Briggs 1 for this amazing suggestion for a reward. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me butterfly emojis, like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!